So welcome YouTubers, this is my 2,000 mile or 3,200 kilometer review of my bike, the R1250 RT from BMW. So I've now had the bike for 3 months. I got it towards the end of March, and my riding in that time has mainly been around here, the Scottish Highlands. I'm filming this in my garage today because although it is now mid-June, A, it's bloody freezing, and B, it's raining again. But mainly I ride around the roads around here, which are pretty fast, twisty, quite a lot of fun. I have done a 1,100 mile ride down to London and to back, so that took in place traffic and motorway, the usual stuff you do on long runs. Really, this review is very full of everything you might use this particular bike for. There have been some problems, and I've documented those in other videos, and I will talk briefly about them because I have to talk about everything. And also, just to say, I'm not sponsored by anybody, nobody pays me to do this. I'm doing these reviews purely as for people who are thinking about buying one of these bikes now or in the future and want to know what the owner experience actually is. Let's start through and talk about engine modes. There are 4 engine modes on this, the LE model. Number 1 is dynamic. The dynamic mode I call the yeehaw mode, because this firms up the suspension, sharpens up the throttle response, and the road around here, take the A82 has been a prime example. It is great fun, and it just gives the bike that little bit of extra firmness and stiffness you would need really when you're going into the more, let's say, spirited riding that I quite enjoy. Obviously staying within the speed limits. Whereas the road mode, which is the standard mode, and I leave it in road for 75% of the time, does everything, does well through town, does great rumbling down the motorway. Road is a very broad and easy mode to be in. If you're pushing on a little bit, the bike can get a little bit wallowy, drift a little bit in the corners, so that's when I always flick it into dynamic and yeehaw comes back. Rain, in heavy rain, it takes some of the power away, and the throttle response deadens down slightly. just helps to smooth things out. I have ridden in some pretty horrendous rain in this country, and I've used rain on a few occasions. I'm fairly late to modes in my riding career. I've been riding for 40 odd years, so I'm not sure is it rain mode or the fact that I change my riding when it's wet that makes a difference, but I certainly find rain quite confidence inspiring. And also on a longer run, I've put it on a motorway, I've tested it in rain mode, and it increases fuel consumption or decreases fuel consumption just enough. And I was getting around about 60 miles per gallon, cruising between 70-75 miles an hour, and putting it in rain mode slightly decreased the consumption, getting 61-62. Which brings me on to Eco mode, which is an additional mode you get if you buy the LE. I don't like it. I've tried it a few times. It feels like you've thrown an anchor at the back of the bike. The throttle response is not great. You get this little line on the dash which says it's green if you are riding economically, but cruising at 70 miles an hour down the motorway had the line showing fairly red, and it just becomes irritating because I'm trying to make some progress. To actually get it into fully eco, it only really worked well in roadworks. So that's the modes. Handling. A bike of this size, of this shape, probably of this weight, but a fat guy like me on it should not handle as well as it does. This bike should not be anywhere near as much fun. The last RT that I had, which I didn't really like, just wallowed. I just wasn't a fun bike to ride. It was okay going down the motorway, but once you come off the motorway, to me it just sort of lost the reason why I buy bikes, which is not to get from A to B, is to have fun. This one is fun and its handling is excellent. It's still not a sports bike, but then I don't want to ride a sports bike and I want to do everything bike, and this is the do everything bike. So top marks. Miles per gallon, general riding, and I ride in a fairly spirited manner, shall we say. I'm getting around 45 miles per gallon. It gives me a tank range of about 230-240 miles, which is fine for me. On a run on the motorway, I was getting between 57 and 62 miles per gallon, and that was giving me a tank range of over 300 miles. Reliability. So I can't go away from the fact that after 1,000 miles I had the exhaust valve go, which was replaced under warranty, no problem. So we're very early days in my ownership of the bike, and I've had one fairly major problem already. It's a well-known BMW problem. It affects all boxer engines that have this valve in it. It's been around since 2014. BMW choose not to do anything about it, so nothing can do. Bear in mind, if you buy any boxer engine BMW, the exhaust valve could be an issue, because I mean, it's going to be plenty of people don't have it, never have a problem. I did. So now talking about the TFT screen, so to do that, you have to turn it on. TFT fires up pretty quickly. Not everybody likes its view. I do. Down here, speed, very, very clear. It's where I want to know how fast I'm going. Gear indicator, very, very clear. I've got the split screen on at the moment, and if I connect my phone, you'll see what that looks like. So in this, guys, I think this is about as clear as it comes. It's a 10 point something width screen, and you can see, I can see the map. I have directions. I think this is set up to go to Inverness. Picks up where I am very, very quickly. I can also change it around just by nodding on. So it shows me media. I haven't got any media playing right now. If I come back, then the full trick computer, everything I want is in there. There's 2 actual trick computers to look at. On a long run, I found this really, really useful. You can actually have it as being the full thing and nothing else, but I prefer it with a split screen. If you come down into the menus are very, very clear. So my vehicle, everything I could want to know about the bike, scroll through it. Plenty of information. Navigation, if I click down to the full navigation, connects up, there's the map. So I've got it on split screen. If I take it out of split screen, so I have the directions there because I'm going through and I'm on a very, very big map. But clicking down, I've got some various things I can play around with. You can't actually plan a route on the move. You have to do that through the phone app, but you can go through all the recent ones. So what I've done is put through a whole set of routes that I want to access very quickly. As long as you know really where you want to go, you preset it in the map, it's fine. Media, when it works, is good. Telephone, I've never tried it, and the settings in here is where you've got all your heating and vehicle settings and system settings. So the preset buttons, they're preset by BMW. You can't change them, which is a pain, because if you don't have the radio, then half of them don't work. So I only use number 2 and number 4. So if I press number 1, it's not available, preset by BMW, so I can't use it. Button number 2 is the grip heating on the seat heating. Button number 3, not available, so can't do anything with it. Button number 4 is navigation. And the modes, if I click the modes through, you've got dynamic, eco, rain, road, road. You dip the clutch and that changes it over. The top menu, if you actually flick the menu button up, then you see it changes the information at the top, so you can run your way through all those things. So that's my review of my BMW R1250 RT. And the question I'm getting most now is, would I recommend the bike? So I've got to admit I'm biased because I like it. And on that basis, yes, I would. I think it's the best all-round do-it-all motorcycle out there at the moment. But I can't get away from the problems. I can't get away from the fact that the TFT, while I like it, is prone to fault. That information drops off. That when you've got everything set up properly, it works sometimes, and then it doesn't. And then it does again. And then it doesn't. It's all working, you stop, you start off again. What was working before isn't working. or it wasn't working before, you stop, put gas in, start it up again, and it is working. The problem with the flappy valve in the exhaust, it got fixed under warranty, great, but it's a big BMW problem. They won't solve it, and so that becomes an issue. So would I recommend it? Absolutely. I love the bike, but I'm biased because I love it. If I have my head ruling my heart, then no, because you don't buy a bike purely on one factor, which for me is rideability. You buy a package, and I bought a package. I wanted the TFT, I wanted all the connectivity, and so I paid the premium for that. And the truth is, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work properly, and I'm not sure it's going to. I'm not sure BMW know how to make it work. They certainly are very poor in their communication, and I know the dealers are frustrated. So on that basis, then no, I can't hand on heart recommend it, because what it promises, it does not deliver. And that's a great shame, because it's a brilliant, brilliant motorcycle.